Welcome you all to the course Database Management System. Myself, Mohammad Asifuddin Mondol, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Narula Institute of Technology. And this is lecture number 25 of this particular course. These are the topics which I am going to cover during my lecture. First, I will recap about the normal form which I have already discussed in my previous lecture. I will summary of the normal forms, specifically 1NF, 2NF and 3NF. Next, I will discuss these three normal forms on a particular case study, and then I will discuss about the concept of the next higher level normal form, which is BCNF, Boyce Code Normal Form. So I will just first recap the normal form which I have already discussed. This is the summary of normal form, and obviously this is the informal way of defining this normal form. First, consider the 1NF. The normal form in a relation is in first normal form. How to check whether it is in 1NF or not? The test condition is that relation should have no multi-valued attribute or nested relation. As we know, a relation R is in 1NF if it has no multi-valued attribute and if it has no nested relation. Means for a particular record or for a specific record, if any one of the attribute have a multiple value for a particular record, that means it has a multi-valued attribute, then it is not in 1NF. So relation R is in 1NF if it does not have any kind of multi-valued attribute or nested relation. But if it has multi-valued attribute or if it has nested relation, then what we have to do, we have to convert it into 1NF. So how to convert it? We have to form a new relation for each multi-valued attribute or each nested relation. That means the multi-valued attributes or the nested relation, those are appearing in the relation. We have to remove all this into a separate relation. Next, 2NF, the second normal form. A relation is in 2NF if all the non-prime attribute is functionally dependent on composite primary key, then it is in 2NF. Again, I am repeating, all the non-prime attribute, if all the non-prime attribute is functionally dependent on composite primary key, then it is known as 2NF. Now, as already we know, non-prime attribute means the attribute those are not a part of candidate key or those are not a part of primary key. So all such kind of non-prime attributes should be fully functionally dependent on entire composite key, not just part of it. So if any one of the non-prime attribute is partially dependent on composite primary key, then relation is violating 2NF, the relation is not in 2NF. Again, I am repeating it. If one of the non-prime attribute is not fully functionally dependent on composite primary key, then the relation R is not in 2NF. So what we have to do to convert it into 2NF, we have to decompose the relation and set up a new relation for each partial key with its dependent attributes. That means you have to decompose the relation. How to decompose the relation? You have to move the non-prime attribute which is not fully dependent on composite primary key. We have to move that non-prime attribute along with the prime attribute on which it depends into a separate relation. Already I have discussed with an example in my previous lecture, so I am just recapitulating it. And then what about the 3NF, third normal form? A relation R is in 3NF if it does not have a relation should not have a non-key attribute functionally determined by another non-key attribute. That means a relation R is in 3NF if no non-prime attribute is functionally dependent on another non-prime attribute. That means two non-prime attributes should not be dependent on each other. If they are dependent, that means if one non-prime attribute is functionally dependent on another non-prime attribute, then relation R is not in 3NF. Again, I'm repeating, if non-prime attribute, one non-prime attribute is functionally dependent on another non-prime attribute, then relation R is not in 3NF. Other way, also we can say that there should be no transitive dependency of a non-key attribute on the primary key. That means there should be no transitive dependency of a non-prime attribute on the primary key. This is the second case or the alternate way. As well as there is another aspect of third 3NF is that other way we can check it whether it is in 3NF or not. Third is that for functional dependency x arrow a holds, suppose a functional dependency x arrow a holds on a relation R if x is a super key or a is a prime attribute, then also relation is in 3NF. Just let me draw it. Suppose x arrow a, this FD holds in a relation R, then if x is a primary key or x is a super key, either x is a super key or a is a prime attribute, then also the relation is in 3NF. So if these three, any one of these three condition is not hold, then the relation R is not in 3NF. So what we have to do, again as usual, we have to decompose the original relation and create a new relation that includes the non-prime attributes or the non-key attributes that functionally determines other non-key attributes. So again I am repeating it. In that case, if it is in not 3NF, we have to decompose the relation and we have to move the non-prime attributes that functionally determines other non-prime attributes into a separate relation. That is how we can convert a relation into a 3NF. Next, consider a case study, and we are going to apply the normal form and we are going to check whether a particular relation, the given relation, satisfies the normal form or not. If they are not satisfying a particular normal form, we have to convert it into that specific normal form. Suppose the relation is given, consider the relation lots. Actually, the relation, that particular relation or table stores the information related to a land. Specifically speaking, the relation contains following attributes: property ID, county name, lot number, lot hash means lot number, area, price, tax rate. Now, what are the significance of each one of the attributes? Here, property ID hash means property ID number, and underline is there. That means this is the primary key of the relation lots. So, property ID means its ID is assigned to each unique property, and as it is primary key, the property ID is unique for each record. It may be the value of property ID may be 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. County name, that means actually the concept of counties came from the country England. In the England, there is a concept of county, is just like a state in India. So county name may be Kent is the county of England, Sussex, Glamorgan, this is the county name, and within each county the total land is divided into a specific lot hash means lot number. So particular county, say Glamorgan, is divided into multiple lot. So lot number is the lot 1, lot 2, lot 3, like that. But if you look at that, a lot number is not primary key, whereas property is a primary key. But if you look at the constant is given that property ID is a primary key, and as well as a combined county name and lot number, they are designated as a candidate key. That means this candidate key is a composite candidate key. So we have two candidate key. One is county name, lot number as a combined is a candidate key, and property ID is a candidate key. And as we know, out of many candidate key, we can choose any one of the candidate key as a primary key. Here we are choosing property ID, this candidate key as a primary key. So if you choose county name, lot number as a primary key, then there will be no issue. It's perfectly okay. So county name and lot number, and this is designated as a candidate key. So from that way, we can conclude that as a combined value of county name, lot number, they will be able to uniquely identify a particular record. And also we can infer the knowledge that from this candidate key is that the lot number is not unique across the county, but lot number is unique only within the county. Again, I am repeating, property lot number is not unique across the country, but lot number is unique only within each country, whereas property ID is unique across the county. I am giving an example, means set of data. Next, area. What is area? Area is the amount of area a particular lot is divided. Price, the price of the lot, and tax is the amount of tax the user have to pay for a particular lot. And in the relation lots, 4 functional dependencies are defined: FD1, FD2, FD3 and FD4. Now FD1, this is starting from of FD1, arrow towards county name, lot number, area, price, tax rate. What does it mean? Let me draw it. This one, this FD1, if we write it how it looks, it should be like that. Property ID hash, arrow, then property ID determines county name. I'm writing it in short, county name means county name. Then property ID determines lot number, so it should be lot hash, comma, property ID determines area, then property ID determines price, comma, then property ID determines tax rate. I am writing it in short, tax rate. So the FD1 symbolic representation can be read as like that way, can be written as that way: property ID, arrow, county name, comma, lot number, comma, area, comma, price, comma, tax rate. That means we can say that county name, lot number, area, price, tax rate, they are all functionally dependent on property ID. That means property ID uniquely identify this set of records, this set of values. The property ID is a primary key. So this is the FD1 is given. So that means for a particular value of property ID, there is a unique combination value of county name, lot number, area, price, and tax rate. Second FD, we can similarly write the second FD, and second FD says that property ID, area, price, tax rate. Property ID, area, price, tax rate, they are arrow are towards in their direction. So property ID, area, price, tax rate, all are dependent on county name, lot number. So this is another functional dependency. So again I'm writing it. So similarly, if we write the FD, it will looks like that way. So there is no arrow towards county name lot. That means they will determine the other value. So I'm writing in short C underscore n county name. C underscore n is the county name. Say for example lot number. Then there will be an arrow. Then so county name and lot number as a whole, they will determine first arrow towards property ID. As a whole, they will determine property ID. P underscore. In short, I am writing it. You have to write it in full. So property ID, PID, comma. As a whole, they will determine also area. County name, lot number. As a whole, they will determine price. As a whole, again they will determine T underscore rate, means tax rate. So county name and lot number as a combined value, they are determining property ID, area, price, and tax rate. That means we can say that this can also be designated as a primary key, but here we are not designated as a primary key. So this is a definitely a candidate key. Next, FD3 says that county name arrow tax rate means tax rate is functionally dependent on county name. Tax rate is functionally dependent on county name. What does it mean? A tax rate is specific for each county. Tax rate is specific for each county. That's okay. And another FD is FD4 is defined on that particular relation. It says that area arrow price means price is functionally dependent on area, or we can say that area determines price. So price is dependent on area. So for a clear understanding, I am creating a table with this set of data. Let me draw it. Suppose this is property ID. P is the property ID. C is the county name. Again, let me draw it. Suppose this is lot number. Then area. A means area. Then say P. price, say PR price, and say this is tax rate. So I've written a single set of data. So P1. So this is the set of data. This is for your clear understanding. So this is the P for property ID. So property ID, if you look at the domain of property ID, you are getting unique value P1, P2, P3. That is why they are the primary key. And property ID, with the help of property ID, we can able to uniquely identify a particular record. Then next attribute is the county name. Here the first county have considered Kent. So property ID P1, county name is Kent. Lot number is L1, means is the lot number 1. area is, say for example, 0.2 acres. The price of that area is 200 rupees and tax rate is 30. The next record, property ID is P2 as per the constraint assigned on the relation. Property ID is the primary key. So next, for the next record, property ID should be unique. So property ID P2. County name is Kent. Now lot number L2, as this is the candidate key. So lot number is unique. Lot number is unique only within the county, not across the county. So L1, this is L2, L2 in the Kent. So in the Kent county, the second lot number is assigned L2. Say area is 0.4 acre, price 400, and tax rate is 30. Why tax rate is 30? Because based on functional dependency FD3, we can say that tax rate is dependent on county rate. So tax rate is dependent on only county name. If it is Kent, tax rate is 30. Next, we are adding third record, property ID P3. Again, its unique value. The county name this time is Glamorgan. Now, if you look at that point, lot number is L1, which is already present in the first record. That means lot number is not unique throughout the county, but it is unique only within county. So L1 is there in Kent as well as L1 maybe there in Glamorgan also. L1 is not unique across the country, it is unique within a county. That means Glamorgan, whose property ID is P3, lot number is L1, that means it's the first lot of Glamorgan county. Area is, say, for example, 1.1 acre, price 500, and tax rate is again dependent on particular county. Here 10 means specifies that the tax rate for all the lot belongs to Glamorgan is always going to be 10. So this is how we can populate the data on the relation lots based on these functional dependencies. Now we have to check whether there is in particular normal form or not. If not, then we have to convert them. Now the relation, this relation is already in one area because no multi-valued attributes are there. For example, if you consider P1 first record, if you consider the first record, which is this one, so for particular record there is no repeating attribute or no multi-valued attributes are there. All the attributes correspond to a single value, no multi-valued attributes are there. That means the relation already is in 1NF. Next we have to check the relation lots is in 2NF or not. Again I am repeating what is the condition of 2NF. All non-prime attributes should be functionally dependent on entire composite primary key, not just part of it. So here the composite primary key, you have to consider only composite primary key. The simple primary key is not going to be consideration here. For 2NF, we are going to test on the basis of composite primary key, not on the basis of simple primary key. Here property ID is a simple primary key, where composite primary key is a county name, lot number. As a whole, they are composite primary key. So First, we have to find the non-prime attribute. Again, I am telling what is non-prime attribute. The attribute, those are not a part of primary key. Area. Area is not a part of county name, lot number, or either property ID. So area is a non-prime attribute. Price is a non-prime attribute because price is neither a part of county name, lot number, nor property ID. And tax rate, again, it is also a non-prime attribute. So just for your better understanding, I'm writing here non-prime attributes, here area, price, and tax rate. So these are the non-prime attributes. Next, so these are the non-prime attribute. Now our condition is that all the non-prime attribute should be functionally dependent on this composite primary key. So first check whether first check area, non-prime attribute, whether it is totally depends on this composite primary key or not. Now based on functional dependency FD2, if you consider FD2, the arrow towards area, now area is fully functionally dependent on county name and lot number. Yes, based on functional dependency 2, area is functionally dependent on both county name and lot number. So this is okay. Next, another non-prime attribute, price, arrow towards price, is again fully dependent on composite primary key. Price is dependent on both county name and lot number. So price is fully dependent on this composite primary key. Next, consider tax rate. Now tax rate, arrow towards tax rate, is dependent on county name and lot number. So tax rate is though dependent on tax rate is dependent on county name and lot number. That is okay. But if you consider the next case, functional dependency 3, FD3, here we can say that we can see that tax rate, arrow towards tax rate, and another pointed towards county name. That means due to this FD3, tax rate is functionally dependent on only county name. Tax rate is not dependent on both. So due to FD3, we can say that the relation violates 2NF. Again, I am repeating. Due to FD3, we can say that tax rate is functionally dependent on only county name. Tax rate is not fully dependent on both county name and lot number. From FD3, we can see that. So due to FD3, the relation violates the 2NF. Why? Because all non-prime attributes should be functionally dependent on entire composite primary key. Here from FD2, we can see that area, price, tax rate both are dependent on composite primary key. But due to FD3, we can say that tax rate, which is a non-prime attribute, is not fully functionally dependent on composite primary key. Rather, tax rate is partially dependent on, only it is dependent on county name, not on lot number. So for FD3, it violates 2NF. The relation lots is not in 2NF. So what we have to do? We have to break the relation. We have to decompose the relation. How to decompose the relation? We have to move the non-prime attribute, which is partially dependent on composite primary key. We have to move that attribute to the new relation along with the attribute on which it depends. That means you have to move tax rate here in the new relation along with the attribute on which it depends on. It depends on county name, so it has to be county name. So that two attribute forms another relation, and rest of the relation will be same. So property ID will be there. While decomposing the original relation, two sub relation will be created. One relation consisting of property ID, county name, lot number, area, price, means all the attribute will be included, those are not violating FD2, and in another relation we have to move the attribute for which it is violating. So for the tax rate it's violating 2NF, so you have to move the tax rate into a separate relation along with that the prime attribute on which it depends on. Tax rate depends on county name, so you have to move the county name also here. And here the lots, this is the lots 1. So once we break lots, it decomposes into two relations, lots 1 and lots 2. In lots 2, based on FD3, we can say that county name is the primary key. So arrow towards tax rate FD3, based on FD3 we can say that county name is the primary key of lots 2. And in lots 1, as usual, property ID is there, so property ID is the primary key. And rest of the functional dependency, those are defined in the original relation, is also preserved here. So what we can say that lots was the original relation, it was in the 1NF. Then we have checked whether lots is in 2NF or not. We have checked that due to FD3. Let me mark it. Due to FD3, this is violating 2NF, so we decompose lots into lots 1 and lots 2. So two sub-relations are generated. Now these lots 1 and lots 2 are in 2NF. Next point, we have to check both the relation lots 1 and lots 2. We have to check whether these two relations is in 3NF or not. As we know, we can check the 3NF on the basis of three conditions. First, we can check with that condition is that a relation R is in 3NF if no non-prime attribute is functionally dependent on another non-prime attribute. So if you consider the relation lots 1, now we are considering the relation lots 1, just let me mark it. Now we are considering this one, lots 1, this is the current one. So we have to check whether this is in 3NF or not. We are going to check it with the help of that condition if is that no non-prime attribute is functionally dependent on another non-prime attribute. But if a non-prime attribute is functionally dependent on another non-prime attribute, then we can say that the relation is not in 3NF. So for that we have to analyze these three functional dependency, but before that we have to identify what are the non-prime attributes are there. Non-prime attribute, again I am telling, non-prime attribute means the attribute which is not a part of primary key. So if you consider area is not a part of either county name, lot number or property ID. Here property ID is a primary key and we can consider county name and lot number as well. There can be also a candidate key or primary key. So non-prime attribute means the attribute which are not a part of composite primary key or candidate key. So area is neither a part of county name, lot number or property ID. So area is a non-prime attribute. Price is also neither a part of county name, lot number nor a part of property ID. So price is also non-prime attribute. So that means for that relation we can say that non-prime attribute list are area, comma, price. So these two, area, comma, price, are the non-prime attribute. Now, if you look at the functional dependency 4, if you look at the functional dependency 4, FD4, what it says that area, I am writing it in short, A for area, arrow, I am writing it short again, P for price. Area arrow price is there, area arrow price is there. That means price is dependent on area. And here in the list non-prime, price as well as area, both are non-prime. So one non-prime attribute price is functionally dependent on another non-prime attribute area. So definitely we can say that due to FD4, the relation lots 1 is not in 3NF. Why? Because a non-prime attribute is functionally dependent on another non-prime attribute. That is why we can say that lots 1 not in 3NF. Now other way we can also check whether lots 1 is in 3NF or not. This is the one way, and the other way you can also check that. What is the other way? Based on transitive dependency. Now if you look at the functional dependency one, property ID determines area, and area, again I am repeating, FD1, from FD1 we can say that property ID, which is a primary key, determines area, and FD4 we can say that area determines price. So what we can write is that, here I am writing it, here can write it P underscore I D property ID. We can write property ID arrow price. Why? From FD1 we can get property ID determines area. From FD4 we can get area determines price. So we can tell that property ID determines price. Property ID determines price. This is known as transitive dependency. Means the attribute price is transitively dependent on prime attribute property ID. So there should be no such kind of transitive dependency should be there. No transitive dependency should be there. But here transitive dependency is there. So due to that dependency, it also violating the 3NF. It is not in 3NF. So what we have to do? We have to move the violating functional dependency, or we have to move the non-prime attributes, those are dependent with each other. So area and price, these are dependent, these non-prime attributes are dependent on each other. So you have to move these two into a separate relation. So these two are moved to a separate relation. So area and price as a whole, area and price move to the new relation, and based on this functional dependency, area arrow price, we can designate area as a primary key, and the rest of the attribute will be remain there. Means property ID will be there, county name will be there, lot number will be there, and this is very important, area, we have already moved area and price into a separate relation, but still in the base relation we have to remain the area, because area is the primary key in the new relation. So area should be there in the base relation as a foreign key, so that we can establish a link. And same is applicable for previous relation also, where we have moved county name and tax set. So in the base relation, county name should be retained as a foreign key. So lots 1 now decompose into two relation. Lots, here we can pictorially says that lots 1 is decomposed into two relation, lots A 1A and lots 1B. Next, so lots 1A and lots 1B now is in 3NF. So already we have checked lots 1. Now next we have to check lots 2, whether this relation is in 3NF or not. Already I have discussed the two way of checking 3NF. Now I am going to consider the third way, though I have already discussed and mentioned, but again I am repeating it. Suppose a relation has a functional dependency x arrow A. Suppose this functional dependency holds, Now a relation is in 3NF if either X is a super key or A is a prime attribute. If any one of these conditions satisfies, then we can say that relation R is in 3NF. So I am going to apply this condition for this lots 2 relation. So FD3 is there, county name, arrow tax rate. So here X is county name, here A is a tax rate. Now we have to check whether at least one condition is held or not. Either X is a price super key or A is a prime attribute. No, here X is county name. Yes, X is a super key because with the help of county name we can uniquely identify a tax rate. This is the super key. Super key is nothing but also a primary key also. So here county name X, which is county name, is a super key. So county name arrow tax rate, and in that FD county name is a super key. So no need to further check whether tax rate is a prime attribute or not, though tax rate is not a prime attribute, but as county name is a super key, so it satisfies the 3NF. So lots 2 already is in 3NF, so no need to decompose it in further. So again I am repeating from the beginning, lots it was in the original relation. First we have checked whether it is in 1NF or not. Yes, it is in 1NF. Next we have checked whether lots is in 2NF or not. It is not in 2NF, so we have decomposed it into 2 relation, lots 1 and lots 2, so they are in 2NF. Then again we have checked whether lots 1 is in 3NF or not. It is, they are not in, this lots 1 is not in 3NF, so we have decomposed it into lots 1A and lots 1B. They are in 3NF. Next we have checked test whether lots 2 is in 3NF or not. Yes, lots 2 is in 3NF, so we have not decomposed the relation further. So ultimately, after converting the relation into 3NF, at the end of the day we have 3 relations, lots 1A, lots 1B and lots 2, and they are all in 3NF. Next I am going to discuss about the concept of BCNF. The full form of BCNF is Boyce Codd normal form, and this is the next normal form of 3NF. That means I mean to say this is stricter than, much more stricter than 3NF. Now a relation schema R is in Boyce Codd normal form if whenever a functional dependency X arrow A holds in relation R, then X is a super key of R. So there is a little bit difference between a BCNF and 3NF. So in X arrow A, let me mark it. So for functional dependency X arrow A holds, if you remember for 3NF X arrow A holds in R. Now relation R, we are considering R is in 3NF if either X is a super key or A is a prime attribute, then it is in 3NF. But in case of BCNF, X must be a super key. So that means the second condition is not there for BCNF. So if X is a super key, then only we can say that it is BCNF. So it is stricter than 3NF. And as usual, each normal form means 1NF, 2NF, 3NF, BCNF. So each normal form is strictly stronger than the previous one. Means every 2NF relation is in 1NF, means a relation is in 2NF, then it must be in 1NF. Similarly, same is applicable for 3NF and BCNF also. If a particular relation is in 3NF, then it must be in 2NF. As it must be in 2NF, it must be in 1NF also. Similarly, the same is hold for BCNF also. If a relation is in BCNF, then it must be in 3NF. And as it is in 3NF, it must be in 2NF, and again in turn as it is 2NF, it must be in 1NF. So each form is stricter than its previous one. But very important point here is that there exists a relation that are in 3NF but not in BCNF. Just let me clarify the thing. If a relation R is in 3NF, it may be in BCNF or it may not be in BCNF. But if a relation R is in BCNF, then we can say that it should be in 3NF. Again, I am repeating it. A relation R, if it is in 3NF, then it may be in BCNF or may not be BCNF. But the reverse is not true. That means if a relation R is in BCNF, it must be in 3NF. That means we can conclude that BCNF is considered as a stronger form of 3NF. And our objective is goal is try to convert a 3NF into the relation BCNF if possible. It is always not possible, but if possible, then we have to convert every 3NF relation into BCNF relation. So this is the relation LOTS 1A. We have seen in the previous slide that LOTS 1 is already in 3NF. Now we have to check whether LOTS 1 is in BCNF or not. Already we are familiar with these attributes and the functional dependency. Already we know FD1, FD2. Now new FD is added is that FD5, and it tells that county name is dependent on area. County name is dependent on area. Let me draw it. A means area, arrow, C underscore name. That means county name is dependent on area, or we can say that area determines county name. What does it mean? Let's take this snapshot or the data set. Suppose property ID P1, county name Kent, lot number L1, area is 0.2. Property ID P2, county name Kent, lot number L2, area is 0.7. So if you look at the area is 0.2 where county name is Kent, area is 0.7 where county name is Kent. That means the restriction is that the area distribution within a Kent is that the size of the area should be within 1 acre. That means it should be within the 1 acre, means the value range should be from 0.1 to 0.9 based on this functional dependency. Because if we say that county name area, if we provide area, it can uniquely identify a county name. So if its area is 0.2, it should be Kent. If it is 0.3, it should be Kent. If it is 0.4, it should be Kent. Now in Glamorgan, suppose the area lot is divided in such a way that the area of the lots are in the range from 1.1 acre to 1.9 acre. So if you provide area say 1.1, it should be Glamorgan. If it is 1.2, it should be Glamorgan. If it is 1.7, it should be Glamorgan. If it is 1.9, it should be Glamorgan. So based on this FD, we can populate our relation in that way. So county name is dependent on area, or area determines county name. So this is the FD5 is added. Now we have to check whether the relation is in BCNF or not. But before that, again we can recheck whether the relation is in 3NF or not. If you consider this FD, this one, consider this one. So let me draw it. If we consider this what, area is dependent on county name and lot number. So this is X and this is A. So either X is a super key or A is a prime attribute. Here X is county name and lot number is a super key. So this is in 3NF. Already we have shown that the relation is in 3NF. We have to check whether it is in BCNF or not. Again I am repeating the condition of BCNF and 3NF. Just first let me draw it. I'm writing it over here. Suppose the functional dependency X arrow A holds in relation. Now if X is a super key or A is a prime attribute, then the relation R is in 3NF. So either X is a super key or A is a prime attribute, then the relation R is in 3NF. Or if X is a super key, then the relation R is in BCNF. So based on FD5, functional dependency 5, is that area arrow county name, means area functionally determines county name. So here A is a X and county name is a A. So this is X and this is A. Now here, if check whether A is the area is a super key or not in that relation. Here area is not a super key. So this is not a super key. Let me draw it. Here A is for area, not a super key. Not SK. SK is for super key. So area is not a super key. So if A is not a super key, so for that relation FD5, this is not a BCNF. But check for if that particular FD whether it satisfies 3NF or not. X is not super key. This is also true for this functional dependency. But if county name is a prime attribute, then it is in 3NF. Now county name, yes, it's in prime attribute because county name is a part of composite primary key. So for X arrow A, it is in 3NF if either X is a super key or A is a prime attribute. In that case, area is not a super key, but county name is a prime attribute because county name is part of composite primary key. So that means we can conclude that for functional dependency 5, the relation is in 3NF, but due to functional dependency 5, the relation is not in BCNF. So for FD5, it violates BCNF. So what we have to do, we have to convert it into BCNF by decomposing the relation. How to decompose? We have to move the functional dependency into the separate relation for which it violates. That means this functional dependency is moved to the another relation. So break it into the new relation, lots 1 AY, area county name. Based on FD5, we can say that area is the primary key, and other attribute remains there. Property ID will be there, then lot number will also be there, and as the area is the primary key of new relation, so you have to retain the area attribute in the original relation so that we can establish a relationship. So after decomposing lots 1A, we are getting two subrelation, lots 1F and lots 1AY, and these two are the subrelation after decomposing to BCNF, and these are the in BCNF. So that is how we can convert a relation which is in 3NF into BCNF if it is not in the BCNF. And these are the references you may go through for further details about the 1NF normalization, the concept of normalization, 1NF, 2NF, 3NF, and BCNF. In my next lecture, I will again recapitulate about a little bit about the concept of 3NF, BCNF, and then I move on to 4NF and 5NF.